Joining us now is Paul Rieckhoff, founder and executive director of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. He is a veteran of the Iraq War. Paul, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
My pleasure, Rachel. Good to be with you.
So President Obama made clear today that this is a change in personnel, not policy. Would this have been the right time to reassess the overall counterinsurgency policy in Afghanistan?
I think we should be constantly reassessing our policy in Afghanistan. I think folks on the ground are constantly reassessing it. But I think, there's also a larger message here. I don't know if the American public is really engaged here, and I don't know if the White House has been fully engaged. Now, look, McChrystal was out of line, and what he said definitely was out of bounds, and it sent a poor message to the troops. But I think there's something to be drilled down in here. For the counterinsurgency doctrine to succeed, you need that full support of everybody in the civilian authority. You need that full support of every political resource. And there are a lot of folks who follow parts of what McChrystal said and feel like they're not getting those resources. If you're a soldier on the ground in Afghanistan right now, you know you have the bullets, you know you have the bombs, but you don't always feel like you have all those bits and pieces alongside you to commit to that fight.
In terms of the relationship between the political debate here, Paul, and what's happening on the ground, I thought one of the things that Michael Hastings highlighted effectively in his Rolling Stone piece was soldiers complaining to General McChrystal about counterinsurgency. Is there a lack of buy-in on this doctrine from frontline soldiers and from frontline soldiers who are coming home as new vets?
I think there's a lack of buy-in nationwide. I don't think everybody is absolutely clear on what we're doing in Afghanistan. And I think that's in part because the president hasn't been focused on it. And I think we've really got to drill down deep and hear part of what's coming out of the military. McChrystal was a rock star. A lot of people in the field really support him 100%, feel like he has a sophisticated understanding of what's happening on the ground. He comes from the special operations community. All those pieces are critical. But there are a lot of folks who feel like he wasn't getting the support he needed. And that may be what comes out in the wash over the next couple of weeks. Petraeus, everybody loves Petraeus. That's going to go over very well. But the question is, what happens to the guys on the ground in the next couple of months when the casualties do increase and the fighting does get more complex?
What kind of support would McChrystal need in order to alleviate some of those doubts? What kind of focus would need to be demonstrated on this issue that would make a difference both to soldiers in the field and to the military brass that need to make decisions about how connected they are to political leadership?
Well, I'd ask you, and I'd ask everybody watching right now, how much were we talking about Afghanistan last week? How much were we talking about Afghanistan over the last month? I mean, folks are focused on BP with good reason. People are focused on the economy. But for the most part, I think a lot of folks on the ground feel like the country's not always paying attention. And if there is an upside that comes out of all this in the next couple of weeks and all the controversy that follows, I think we're going to be focused on Afghanistan. And that's something that's good for the folks on the ground, that's good for the country. If we have a reevaluation of the policy debate, that's a good thing. And if it gets more attention, if only from the bully pulpit and if only from the president, to commit to those folks on the ground when we really need it, then that's going to be a positive outcome of all this controversy.
Let me ask you, though, Paul, in all honesty, and you and I have known each other a long time, is it always a net benefit to have jerks like me and talking heads on television, partisan or not, talking about the war effort and talking about strategy, talking about tactics when we're this removed from it? I mean, I don't buy you have to listen to the generals on the ground and civilian leadership doesn't have a role. I'm certainly not part of civilian leadership, but recognizing that I'm part of the echo chamber and part of the political sphere in this country, sometimes I worry about that we're just spinning our wheels and we're not actually helping when we do talk about it.
No, there's a divide. There's clearly a divide. In the last couple of days, I've been frustrated because I see a lot of people on television talking about counterinsurgency, talking about the Uniform Code of Military Justice, who have no idea what the heck they're talking about. And that is frustrating for somebody who comes from the military. But there's also a frustration with the White House. They've been missing some of the easy things. Things like going to Arlington on Memorial Day. Things like there's a director of Wounded Warrior Policy named Matt Flavin who was focused on the veterans groups and the military groups. He's left and gone over to the Department of Defense. Nobody's replaced him. Michelle Obama has talked a lot about military families, but we don't see any points on the board. He's an anti-war Democrat who doesn't have a history of serving in the military. He's got to work harder to bridge that gap, and he's got to work harder on it all the time.
How do you shed the label anti-war by doing when you've tripled the number of troops in theater since you've been president?
Look, I'm telling you about there's always going to be a rub with the military when he comes in as someone who hasn't served on the ground, who is anti-war in his campaign stuff. Now he's changed that. I'm not saying that you can't support the troops and be anti-war, but he's got to work harder at it. This is an area of vulnerability for him. Command and control, understanding the military has always been an area of vulnerability for it, and he has to work that much harder to get the support of folks in the field.
Paul Rieckhoff, Executive Director and founder of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, somebody who I have always enjoyed fighting with these things about. Thanks a lot for your time, Paul. Good to see you.
My pleasure, Rachel. Thank you.